Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the latest edition of the Fargo Force Show. I'm your host, Trevor Peterson, joined this week by Force forward Hank Crone, a Texas native from Cedar Hill, a suburb of Dallas. How the heck you grow up in Texas and get involved in hockey, Hank? That's a good one.
Yeah, no, the first rink opened up in my area the year I was born, so it just worked out that my dad grew up in Connecticut and played when he was younger and kind of said, hey, let's give it a try. And it wasn't always that easy, finding ice and all that, but the way it worked out good. I got a good program when I was younger, and then from there it just kind of was able to develop. There's a lot of great coaches down there, and then through that I was able to make it to the league, and it's a lot of luck, with the rink opening up and stuff, so it was good.
And we'll talk a little bit about this more, but you're also big, your family's big into baseball, but we'll save that for a little bit. Now, as I said, second year in the USHL. In fact, you have, of all the guys in the Force, you have the most USHL experience. You came over to the Force last year in a trade with Omaha, played 50 games for the Force, 15 goals, 22 assists. Talk about just the different feel this year compared to last year, your first year in the USHL to now your second year here, and second year with the Force as well.
Yeah, this is a way different team. Last year was a little more meat and potatoes, as Coach Eads would like to say. Mm-hmm. But this year I think we're way more in your face, and we got a lot more skill. I think we're going to be a really special team once we start buying into Coach Eads' philosophy and working hard as a unit. So
now, the Force missed the playoffs by just a single point last year, 1 point in 60 games. Did that fuel you? Did that fuel the guys in the offseason, the training, the push you guys? I mean, did that play any factor as far as coming into this season, how you came so close last year?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, something like that, especially for guys that play juniors, you only get a few years, few cracks at it. So missing it by that little, especially to a rival, was really tough. But I think this year we have a lot of veterans, a lot of guys that know what it takes. So I think, like I said, once we get going, I think the sky's the limit for this group.
What are you most excited about with this group this year? Last year, scoring goals was kind of one of the major bugaboos. Does that get you guys, you have more weapons this year than you maybe had last year?
Yeah, no, I definitely think last year's team, no doubt, was a hard-working group, and we worked together. I think that's why we came out of the holes that we did. But I think this year, like you said, we definitely have some more firepower, and I think that's what Coach Eads was trying to get at, and I think he succeeded. I think if we all just start coming together more as a group, which it'll come, we're only 3 games in, so I think, with that, special teams is huge, and I think, we have the ability to do anything we want, really. He gives us a lot of leeway, so with the personnel that we have on both units, along with 5-on-5, I think this team could definitely score some goals.
All right, you made a good segue then. Since our inaugural show, the Force have played those first 3 games of the season. You guys opened up the year in impressive fashion on the road Friday, September 23rd at Omaha, and you came up with a 7-4 victory. 2 goals apiece for Jack Adams, Michael Graham, and defenseman Clayton Phillips. You had an assist in the game. Blake Lazat had 5 assists. The Force were also 3 of 6 on the power play while holding the Lancers to 0-7. Nice way to begin the season.
Right away, we were down 0-2 in the first, so us getting back from that in the first game of the year was impressive, showing that we weren't quitting. And then also the special teams, going 3 for 6, that's a huge part of this league. So I think we would continue making sure we're really good on special teams. If we score on the power play and we don't let them score on the power play, I think it's a pretty good start. So I think if we keep doing that, we'll be in good shape, and everyone had a really good game that night.
Now, thanks to that 7-4 season opening win, 2 members of the Force were named to the USHL CCM Players of the Week squad. Forward of the Week was Blake Lazat. As we mentioned, he had 5 assists, and if you minus that empty netter that the Force scored late, he had a hand in 5 of the 6 fourth goals. And then the defenseman of the week was Clayton Phillips. 2 goals for the defenseman there. One of those was on the power play. So an impressive first week for the Force. The next week, however, wasn't quite as smooth. The Force, for the home opener on Friday, September 30th, the Force hosted Waterloo. No score in the second period until the Blackhawks' Nick Swanee is going to rip a shot past Matt Murray. That was the first goal of the game, and that gave the Blackhawks a 1-0 lead. Unlike the first game, the Force could not put the puck in the net. Former Force goalie Robbie Baydoun stopped all 27 shots for Waterloo in a great performance. Murray, the Force goalie, he wasn't too bad himself. He had also 27 saves. Here's one of them right here. However, That goal by Swanee held up as Waterloo wins it 2-0. They add an empty netter late. Both teams unable to score on the power play in that game. Then the next night, the Force go on the road at Sioux City, and they fall 5-2. Goals by Martin Sundberg and Jack Adams, assist by our guest, Mr. Crone, as well. Sioux City had 2 empty net goals late in the third to seal the win. The Force were good on the power play, though. Again, 2 for 5, and good on the penalty kill as well, 0 for 5 with Sioux City. Thoughts on those 2 games, Hank?
Yeah, Waterloo was tough. Obviously, Robbie played great. Sometimes you're going to run into a hot goalie. I think both games last weekend, we had a ton of chances, and I think we outplayed both teams. So it's not all negative. It's like I said, it's only 3 games in. So, and the other thing is, we need to learn how to lose. There's some guys that obviously have played in the league, but there's some guys who haven't, and there's lessons to be learned. And I think last weekend, which is good that it was that early, but we already have learned some lessons. And special teams was still good, so I think if we can keep that rolling and just make sure that we're dialed in 5-on-5, I think we should be fine. Making sure that we don't give games up too quick. Obviously some empty netters in those games, and we were trying right till the end. So if we just keep sticking with it, obviously everything will fall into place.
Now, one of the bright spots for the Force so far, the penalty kill. You've been perfect so far in the season. Opponents 0 for 11 on the penalty kill. Anything behind that so far that you've seen?
I think, one of our biggest thing we have a lot of pride in is our penalty kill. We're a really aggressive bunch. And I think that at the same time, the guys that are on our penalty kill can also make plays. So, if it's a little outlet or something, making sure that gets out. It's easier if you have vision or you can make a play. So Coach Poole does a really good job running that. And the personnel that we have, I think, is the right group. And I think if we just keep working on it, just like the power play, we should be pretty deadly at that too.
All right, let's take a look at the standings in the USHL's Western Conference after the first couple of weeks. Des Moines on top, along with Tri-City with 5 points, and then a whole bunch of teams right there at 4 points. 2-1 records. The Force right there, just 2 points back, and Omaha bringing up the bottom right now without a point thus far. So now the upcoming schedule for the Force in the next couple of weeks. Friday, October 7th and Saturday, October 8th, you guys go back on the road at Dubuque. And then the next weekend, you're back home at Shields Arena against those yet-to-win Omaha Lancers, 14th and 15th there. As always, you can go to fargoforce.com for tickets. All right, Hank, we talked a little bit about it at the beginning. You got into hockey. You've committed to Boston University after this season for the Force. Thoughts on that? You said you were always kind of an East Coast guy.
Yeah, no. My dad actually worked for the Red Sox when I was younger, so just being around the city and always going up to Cape Cod in the summers and stuff, I had a special little place in my heart for Boston, and just being able to have the opportunity to go there is pretty surreal. So I've always been a big fan of the Terriers, and just the fact that it worked out like that is amazing, and I definitely can't wait to get there.
Your whole family has kind of involved in baseball. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, my dad works for the Tigers. He grew up playing baseball and played in college and stuff like that. And then my grandpa actually played in the major leagues for the Braves. So just
what years?
In the 50s.
Okay.
I don't know specifically,
okay.
but
All right.
he was a pitcher for the Braves. So having that background, that pro sports background, is pretty cool.
And you said that he played with a couple of guys that everybody will recognize from the majors?
Yeah, no, he actually played on a team with Hank Aaron and Warren Spahn, so he only played for a couple years, but for those years, I mean, that's something pretty special to brag about for me, at least. He probably won't say anything about it, but no, he did a lot of stuff like that, and it's cool to even just be mentioned in the same sentence as those guys. Pro
athlete, you mentioned that. Is that ultimate goal for you then, NHL?
Yeah, I think that's most guys' answer, and it is for me. It's a long road, and it's obviously not easy at all. So I think, but the development here with Fargo, and then the development further on with BU, is definitely going to give me a pretty good shot at maybe trying to make it happen. So there's a lot of time to go, and it starts right now with Fargo. So.
All right, well, best of luck in that quest. Best of luck this season with the Force, and thanks for joining us on the show this week.
Perfect, thanks for having me.
All right, and remember, every other week throughout the Force season, you can watch the Fargo Force show right here on Inform.com. We'll see you next time.